Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Inuyashiki Episode 6. So last we left off, Hiro was apparently being apprehended by the police. I still don't know if that was really happening or if it was just a dream or something or not, because that seems like really surprising to me. I don't know, like, I understand how they could have figured out that what he was doing, but it also at the same time seems kind of far-fetched. It seems like you could both understand it, but not. Because his ability, it's like, how would you even, what would you do against that? How would you even think about apprehending someone who has these kind of powers? Yeah, it's just, I mean, we saw him heal his mother from her cancer and all. We saw that he wanted to make things better and everything, but it's like, we know that it's not going to be the end. We're only halfway through the series, so, or at least the season. I don't know if there's going to be more after this, but I don't know, it just feels like this is not the end of him being a villain. I don't know where this is going to go. I just really don't. I mean, I assume that Inuyashiki is going to have a confrontation with him again at some point. Before the finale, I mean. And, yeah, it's too hard to say at this point. I really don't even know where this episode's going to go, because I don't even know if what we're seeing, or where we left off on, is really happening or not. I really am excited to find out, though. Like, I kind of say it every time, but I am really loving this show. And it's just insane to think about. Like, when this was first airing, I heard about people watching it, and I heard people were saying it was great, but I just never, I never thought of checking it out. For some reason, it just never crossed my mind to watch it, and I'm really glad I finally did. This, I said it before, this could easily be in my top 3 favorite anime if it continues being as good as it has been. The last episode gave a lot of depth and character to our villain, who up to this point has been kind of a heartless sociopath. But we see that he's definitely a lot more than that now. And we also saw that Inuyashiki might be going down a path of more morally gray violence. So it's like, I like that they're giving more depth to these characters and possibly bringing them into doing some things that go against their initial, character. I'm really, really excited to find out what happens now, though, so we're just going to get right into this. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, just when you think the show couldn't get any worse than the second episode, and I'm not saying that it necessarily was worse than what happened in the second episode. Okay, let's word it differently. Just when you thought it couldn't get as bad. While the events that happened in this one weren't as shocking and intense as with the second episode, that one moment was so discomforting. Just the first troll, the first, as they're going for in this one, 2chan troll, who was taunting Hiro. Not even just that he was getting attacked and everything by Hiro. That's one thing, but then the noises, the sounds that he was making after getting shot through the cheek, through one side and out the other, after having already been shot in the leg and everything. Those noises, that gagging, that gasping, that, that's really, really messed up. There are certain things visually or auditorily that really just get to me, that disturb me, that bother me. That is definitely one of them. Not just the idea of someone like gagging on their blood and everything like that, just after what happened. It's not just what happened. That's the thing. It's the context behind it as well. That this guy was basically just some internet troll and harasser who you see all and hear about all the time. Like, these people are pretty common, unfortunately. People who do this kind of shit. And so it's really, it's something that relates to reality, something that we can connect to and understand. And what Hiro had been going through, having his mother having committed suicide because of all of this, and he doesn't realize that it was because of him. His mind is automatically equating it because of his sociopathy. He's automatically equating the blame towards everyone else, towards the media. He sees it like the media was harassing his mother. And that's kind of what happened with his father too. He saw these media people like talking to his father-in-law, and he killed them all. He mowed them down. He's no longer just doing the bang. He's like he has like a machine gun kind of thing going on now. And it's like he took out all of those reporters who were talking to his father. But he let his father go. He clearly does care about his father. Maybe not to the same degree as his mother, but he does care for him, his father, and his father's family. He could have killed him, and he didn't. I think he was kind of equating that moment with he was protecting his father from the evil media, basically, because again, he was blaming the media for his mother's suicide, even though he was the one at fault for being a serial killer. And his mother was not only just extremely disappointed in him because of it, but mortified that her son would do something like that. And he refused to understand that it was his fault for his evil actions. And it's so dark. And from what we saw, he didn't kill the girl from his class who took him in to stay with her and her grandmother. But now it's just like, when the police were first after him, he was avoiding fighting them because of his mother. He was trying to avoid fighting them and avoid just killing them and everything. And now it's just like, at this point, he's broken. More so than he was before. So it's like, he doesn't even need to hide anymore. Nobody's going to be able to stop him. And I think he knows that. And I don't think he's going to hold back anymore, unfortunately. He's going after all of these people on this online thread. He's going to go after all of these media people, everyone who he sees as responsible for his mother's suicide. And then he's probably just going to go back to doing what he had been doing before. It's not going to change him, unfortunately. We also did see a little bit of Inuyashiki in this episode, about him getting some new upgrades, like with the phone in his head and everything. And we find out that the phone, like the range he has because of his alien tech, with the phone in his head, it can reach even up to space. Like, he was legitimately in space. Like, right in front of an astronaut by the satellite. And it's just like, geez, dude. I mean, A lot of people probably wish they had that kind of range on their cell phones. um, well, yeah, we saw he's kind of getting these upgrades, and he's still working with Hiro's former friend to just become stronger and become better and become more upgraded and able to do more to be able to take on Hiro eventually. They're preparing. But these past couple episodes have focused mostly on Hiro. He was the focus. These episodes gave him that humanity that he needed as a character. And at the end of this episode, after his mother committed suicide and all, it didn't take away that humanity from Hiro. In a way, it actually enhanced it by showing how that event broke him all over again. How he was actually starting to go back to being a good person. How, like, he even, like, stood in front of his classmates and her grandmother while they were sleeping, pointing his finger at them like he was going to shoot them, and he couldn't do it. It showed growth for him. It showed that he actually was legitimately sorry for the way he had been acting because of how it ended up hurting his mother. Not because he realized it was bad, but because it ended up hurting his mother, and, you know, he cared about his mother that much. But then it shows like how after his mother's suicide, it breaks him. And he loses that one thing that was keeping him held back. That was keeping him from killing again. And just all bets are off now. It's kind of that kind of situation. It reminds me of The Legend of Korra. Obviously not to the same degree, but hear me out. In The Legend of Korra Book 3, the villain Zahir is trying to learn how to fly. And the final step to learning how to fly, not with airbending, which he does have, but like legitimately just flying. The final step is to release your connection to the earth, to let go of your earthly tethers. But Zahir is unable to do that because he has Pli. Pli is this combustion bending girl who he legitimately loves. Even though Zahir is the villain of the season of Book 3, he still is very much humanized, and he has this girl who he legitimately deeply loves. When she is killed in battle with the heroes of the series, he finally is able to let go of those earthly tethers. He has nothing else keeping him connected to, well, the earth. And as such, he begins to fly. It's a very different kind of scenario, but the kind of the basic concept is the same. Hiro here is he has that one thing grounding him. He has his mother and what he knew to be her thoughts on all of this, even not knowing it was him initially. And hearing her thoughts, he vowed to not kill anymore. He vowed to turn his life around. Because he knew how it affected her, what she thought of it, and he didn't want to disappoint her. But when she commits suicide, when she's dead, that tether, that one thing that was keeping him basically grounded, was destroyed. And all bets are off at that point. He has nothing keeping him from doing that anymore, and so he just goes right back into it. It's the same basic kind of concept. I was thinking about it because I actually watched that episode earlier today, that episode of Legend of Korra. And it's wild how that just ended up working out like that. But yeah, it's just like, it's really sad actually. Like, it's almost tragic, but you do know that that Hiro was like this before. That he was a sociopath and had little empathy for other humans outside of his mother and I guess, his father and his father's family to a lesser degree. He didn't care about other humans, and that's why he was able to kill before, why he didn't think anything of it, why he didn't even see it as anything being wrong. Again, the only reason he gave it up and was willing to stop was because, just solely because of what his mother thought of it. Not because he felt it was wrong, not even because he felt like he had second thoughts about it after hearing what his mother thought. No, it was only because he didn't want to disappoint his mother. There was no other reason. So it doesn't stop him. He was never, like, healed from his sociopathy. He was never, like, turned to normal or whatnot. He was still a sociopath. He was still completely insane and nuts, but he was able to hold it back because he had something tethering him. And now that's gone, and all bets are off. He's unleashed, and he's angry. He's pissed. So it's like, he's definitely going to be out, I mean, as we saw, for revenge against everyone who he blames for this. And he's going to be out to just basically go after humanity as a whole. Just the amount of depth and character and everything behind Hiro as a villain is phenomenal. Like, seriously. It's so freaking well done. And I can't wait to see exactly where this leads. Will he ever find out and realize that he's the villain in all of this? Will he ever come to an understanding that he's the reason his mother killed herself? Will he ever realize this kind of stuff? I kind of hope he does. I want him to understand, because I know he has it in him to do so. We saw his humanity, and I want to see that expanded on, and I want to see him grow in that. Maybe by the end of this, maybe he won't have to die. I initially thought that that's how it was going to have to end. That either he or Inuyashiki would have to kill the other. Or maybe they would have to kill each other. That was how I initially thought this series would have to end. But now I'm thinking, after having shown this much of his humanity, maybe there will be a way to save him. I mean, I'm not saying that he should be, that he should get off from his crimes. He should definitely spend life in prison. Multiple life sentences. But if he can get to a point where he acknowledges that what he had done was evil, and he accepts that life imprisonment, and doesn't kill again, that would, I think, be the best ending to this. Because it would show how human he truly is. And that he's not just a psychotic murderer. That he is more than that. And I think that's something a lot of people need to realize. These killers out there, yeah, they have humanity to them. You don't think some of these horrible serial killers have had people they love? You don't think Al Bundy or the one clown guy whose name I cannot think of at the moment, you don't think that they laughed and had fun with friends and family and media, radio, television, whatever? No, of course they did. They were human too. And I think a lot of times we forget about that. They did horrible things, and the ones who are still around and still do this stuff do horrible things today. And they shouldn't get away with that. But we cannot, like, dehumanize them. Because I feel if we dehumanize these horrible serial killers and these rapists, these just criminal, horrible, evil people, if we take away that humanity from them, then we're just setting up to make more. If we acknowledge that they are human, we can work to help them, and to help others like them, and to help stop others from becoming like them. if we can acknowledge that they are human too, and that they just need help, if we dehumanize them and see serial killers as just these monsters unable to be saved, then what are we doing to change things? What are we doing to make things better? Nothing. Nothing. I feel like this show, if it goes in this route, if it takes this route and continues to humanize Hiro and comes to a finale where he acknowledges that what he did was wrong and suffers the punishment for it willingly, and it does this in a very believable, well-written, and just excellently emotional and powerful and real way, if it truly gets this all perfectly right, Inuyashiki could even be my favorite anime of all time. Now that's a very high claim to make. And I don't honestly know if it ever could. I don't know if it will, and I honestly doubt it. Especially with how amazing my top two are. My number 2 being Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and number 1 being My Hero Academia. With how phenomenal those two shows are, it's hard to believe that anything could surpass them. But thinking about where this could go, and if it's handled as perfectly as possible, Hiro will be, honestly, one of, if not my favorite villain of all time. Because he'll be real. He'll be believable. He'll be tragic, but also someone who you know is completely in the wrong. The best villains are not the ones who are just evil for the sake of being evil. And it's not the ones who are just like given these tragic backstories for the sake of having them. The best villains are the ones who, yes, commit horrible evil acts, but have a balance to them that makes them feel human. That makes them feel like they're more. And makes you care for them in a way, while also acknowledging that they need to be punished for their actions. There has been almost no villains in anything that I could ever say have truly captured that idea. The only one I can truly think of off the top of my head is Harley Quinn. You cannot deny that the things Harley Quinn has done are villainous, are evil. But you cannot also ignore how she got there. How the Joker fucked up her mind. How she went from being a sane, rational psychiatrist in Arkham Asylum to being one of the craziest villains out there. All because of the actions of one person. And it doesn't excuse her actions, as I said. But it doesn't also stop her from being human. And stop you from feeling bad for everything she's gone through because of the Joker. The Joker ruined her life. And it's why she's always been one of my favorite villains. And I could definitely see Hiro being up there. And I hope he does get there. As I said earlier, when this series was first airing, I didn't give it a thought. I never even considered watching it. It just never occurred to me. Not because I thought it was going to be bad, not even because I didn't have interest in it. I just never thought about watching it. Even when hearing all these people saying that it was so supposedly very great, hearing all of these people raving about it, it just never crossed my mind that, yeah, I should check that out. And then I eventually finally did because of this channel, and it's like, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you don't see things when they first come out. And when you eventually do just sit back and check them out, it's like they can surprise you. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I didn't see that when it first came out. I only saw that in its entirety like 2 years ago, I think it was. I had seen some of it prior to that, but it was only as of like 2 years ago that I actually sat down and watched the entire thing. Might have been 3 years, but I think it was 2. I think it was 2016. Either way. And it quickly rose to become my favorite at that time, before My Hero eventually took over. And it's like, that series came out like, what, 2006 or so? And it's like, I have the entire series on DVD now. I've seen it, like, all the way through, like, 4 times. Going on 5. Because I think 5 and 6, because I think I'm watching 2. No, I think I just finished 1. I was going to say, I think I'm watching it with 2 different channels. I think, did Blind Wave finish it already? I am not even sure anymore. But the point of this all is that Inuyashiki is proving to be one of those hit shows, one of those dark horses that I never really had any thoughts on. I didn't expect it to be good or bad. And it ended up being phenomenal. I really, really hope that this can stick the landing. Excuse me. I really hope that the second half of this is as good as this first half has been. And honestly, I hate to say it, but I do hope that this can surpass My Hero Academia as my favorite. If it can do that, that would be amazing. And My Hero could eventually end up taking it back, of course, but I want it to be able to be that damn good. I want everything I watch to be that damn good, to be honest, but yeah. That's enough rambling from me, though. Tell me what you thought of this episode of Inuyashiki in the comments below, and just all your thoughts on Hiro as a villain and as a just human character. And everything else that happened, and everything else that you think is going to happen. But remember, no spoilers. Please. With this series especially, no spoilers. I want to go into the rest of this as blind as possible. So I can see where this is going to go in all of its glory. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing, live, love, laugh.